Welcome back. Welcome back. Dominic, welcome back. It's been like 2 months since I saw you last. You were in the North Pole.
Yes.
Okay, which I thought was like North Pole.
Mm-hmm.
But it's actually a place in Alaska.
Yeah.
So welcome to the podcast. We are, my name is Liyah, and this is my son Dominic, and so we decided to have our own podcast because we have some incredible conversations and we know some of the most amazing people, really like extraordinary people that if you don't interact with community every single day, you might miss meeting them and hearing their stories. And I really am so privileged that we have a small business in the community and I get to meet so many amazing people.
Mm-hmm.
All people are amazing if you take the time to hear their story and connect with them. And I think that's been the joy of my career, my life, and hopefully some of that has been your experience too. North Pole, Alaska. So how was that?
It was great. I loved it. Really, where we lived was in Fairbanks, but we were pretty close working in the North Pole. It almost felt like home as well. Operated a lot of machinery, which was really cool. And I learned a lot of great things and experienced a lot of great things.
I thought you were going to be like, Mommy, walk with me to the gate. And we hugged and you're like, okay, peace. See you.
Get away from me.
Get away from me. And I stood there like a weirdo crying in front of the smash burger. Everybody probably thought that I was like really emotional about the burgers, but really I was more emotional about you. It's so bittersweet for a parent because you want this empowerment in your children. You want to see them actualize their free agency over their mind, body, spirit, living, behaving. But then it's so bittersweet because it's the biggest step, like, away from being like childlike still. But I admire you so much, not only because you're like my son and I know you this like biological way. I admire you as a human because you lean into work ethic. You lean into curiosity. You are humbled by what you don't know and are graceful in acquiring that knowledge, honoring, respecting the masters that are teaching you, because everyone is a master at something that has lived longer than you and been around and has practiced a profession longer. And there's just such a coachable, learning spirit in you that I admire as a human, not just like I'm your mom. Most adults, they kind of like, do not love to labor, do not really necessarily want to toil and learn something new, or we have this comfort zone we stay in. So to see that in you at such a young age, that is like, it inspires me. I want to be like you. Like, I want to be like you when I grow up, but, I'm already grown up. So where does that come from? Where do you find that inside you and bring that out?
I would say it comes from two places. It first comes from my family, knowing how hard they work to provide the great things they provide. And it also comes from the people I've seen that don't put in the work ethic, don't give it their all, and just give it 50% and be pleasant with it. And I just see how I just put myself in their shoes and realize that's not for me. And so whenever I do something that I know I can do, I usually give it my all and more.
That's pretty remarkable too, that you're aware of like the contrast. How do you approach someone else teaching you something? Like, does it make you feel a certain way? Do you feel like an insecurity? Do you feel like you're ready? Do you feel excited? Like, where do you land in having to learn, like the learning curve of things. Because at your age at 15, there's so many learning curves happening at the same time. Like, one is just the basic biological learning curve of your body day to day. Like at your age, or even before your age, like this growth spurt that's happening in every direction. And on top of that, like like your learning curve about just basic things in life. Like we're learning, like I was taking you out, we were driving clutch. And there's this like
I was pretty good at it too.
You're incredible. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. You picked it up so fast. I mean, we're still like practicing, but still, just all these learning curves happening at the same time. Like, how do you approach when you face something where you have to depend on someone else, maybe teaching you or informing you or empowering you to get over that learning curve?
No, I love it. I strive to put myself in those positions because being uncomfortable is the best place you could ever be in life, because that's where you learn to adapt, and that's where you learn to uh, do things in a way that are outside of your comfort zone, and work with your insecurities. And I strive to put myself in those positions because I would learn that usually you do better in places you're uncomfortable, because now you know that there's something you don't know, so now you have to learn, and once you learn it, then you get comfortable, you become better at it.
Do you ever get nervous or scared about asking for help?
It depends, because if I'm interested in what I'm trying to learn, then I'll ask for help, and I'll try to learn it the best I can. But I've learned throughout the years that if you're not interested in something, no one can force you to do it.
Okay, this are we talking about schoolwork? Are we talking about homework now? Okay, that's a great point. So what if you are in that not so interested space? Okay? Because in life, a lot of times you have to do things to get like from point A to point B that might not be interesting, but that's the sacrifice you make, or that's like that endurance and that push, um, to achieve a goal, or even like exhaustion, or even maybe discouragement. So what's the mindset? Um, what's the mindset when you are not interested? What's that self-talk like? What is that? What's the spirit you're tapping into?
I've learned from someone I've talked to before that, you know, if you're not interested, you're not motivated, remember who you're doing it for. You're doing it for yourself. It's for the betterment of yourself. You're not doing it for anyone else. That's what that person taught me, and I've taken that with me for a little bit, and I'm still trying to learn and be better at that. But at the end of the day, it's always gonna just be you, not anybody else.
What do you do on the days that you're absolutely not motivated?
Nothing.
Okay.
I'll be honest. I'll sit back, relax. Oh, if I get the motivation back, I'll get up and do something. But those days are there for a reason, to reset and have your body like kind of detox and just like relax, and then the next day you'll do better and you'll be more motivated.
So listen to your body, and that's okay. Rest is okay.
Yep.
I'm so glad that again, at your young age, that's like a core value and a core self-talk and self-allowance you give yourself, because I've come from a culture that is, you always hustle, you always work. Resting is, equated with laziness. And a part of that I really appreciate, I guess, because it does build in this system of being productive, and minimizing waste. But then it can become toxic,
Mm.
And I've had to really, as a parent, and full transparency, I've had to, as a parent, hear myself if I ever bring that up to like you or your siblings, and then remind myself that no, rest is a necessary part of productivity. And I've had to teach myself that. Actually, you and your sister, you both have taught me that. We have to like integrate. We play a lot, as a family, we play a lot, but rest is not the same as play. Rest is necessary. So what are some like of your, I guess your passion projects? What are some of your passion projects for the rest of this year?
Uh, get my license in a couple of months. A friend of mine who I'm very close to offered me a job opportunity that's really good. Um, that's a really good business and can really expand. So I'm looking to follow up with that.
You're so eager to work. You're so eager to like become like take on that role in society of participating in this like labor market where talent is compensated and building and creating. Why? At 15, I'm just curious, like, why are you so excited and want to work?
I guess because just of all the information I have in me and all the experience I've learned, I just want to put it to good use, and I've learned that that's what I'm interested in, and that is what motivates me when I work because it is fun, and I don't know, it gives you kind of like an adrenaline boost, and by the time you start one project, you're done with the next five.
This young adulthood, it does have a curing of its own, like like a refining and a necessary slow coming to. I think that's when I say like age appropriate. Really, that's what I'm saying is we're talking about the speed of things, not necessarily
Maturity.
the maturity of things, because life will sometimes mature you without asking you for permission. But I think that part of curing, just like cement, right? Or the cement cure, I don't know. I don't know anything about cement. But just not hurrying up the
Chemical
chemistry.
process.
Yes, the chemistry, the fusion of things, the development, like the gray matter, the frontal cortex, the energies, like all of it, not just cells and hormones and sexual things, but like all of it, just really in a whole human way, honoring the phase, right, that you're in. And I hope this speaks to like the other youth that are, maybe rushing to adulthood or rushing into something, but honoring that pending and developing stage, that curing space that is so necessary for identity and self knowing and self awareness and self discipline, so that as a spirit, as a soul in a human vehicle body, you're able to actualize all your talents, in a maximal kind of meaningful way. So that's why I'm like, don't rush, don't don't hurry. But you're so eager to work. And now you've explained it to me and I can understand it, because it does give you a rush. It's like an artist, you're accomplishing with your talent something. What have you thought about that's been a barrier?
I would say two major barriers would be not having my license yet. I mean, I'll have it in like a couple months, but that's a big barrier. I would also say schooling is a barrier because if I'm being honest, what I'm learning right now, other than math, there's nothing really going to teach me anything that I'm going to learn that's way more important that I've experienced already in the outside world.
Like hands-on learning?
Hands-on learning, tactical learning. Um, there's not much that's going to teach me right now in schooling, and I feel like spending 8 hours. Don't get me wrong, it's good if you don't put kids to do that. They're just going to kind of rot away.
Do you think schools just maybe need to incorporate some of that, like some of that hands-on or um, career learning, or just give young adults more opportunity to be in the field, be kind of sampling different careers, or learning from like an internship type of deal, and incorporate that into like the credits. And I imagine that would be good even socially for them.
But some people just have it in them, some people don't, and that's not something you can teach. That's just a great way to enforce it would be like maybe internship or maybe having them just giving them something, tell them go do it. If they fail, teach them to do it the right way. That's how I learned, and that's what really got it out of me is to just keep working until I mess up and someone will tell me.
failure is such a good teacher.
Yeah, it's the best way to
It's so
succeed.
humbling, but it just to me, I've learned to love it because I know at the end of that like icky feeling of like, oh, it's failed, it didn't work, or what could I do, like all the self-doubt, self-talk that is negative, at the end of that there's this gift. Again, you're so wise to become aware of that at a young age.
Well, something along those lines as well is like, if I were to put it in perspective of like, when you're uncomfortable, you get more done and you achieve more. But when you're comfortable, you're you're bored, you're lazy, you're content with what you have. The way I could put that in perspective is like, think of it temperature wise. If it's warm, right, you can just sit around all day. But when it gets cold, now you want to throw some layers on. Maybe you want to turn the thermostat up. Now you've completed those steps because you're uncomfortable. That's like kind of a way to put it to help people understand.
When you apply yourself to a project, do you think about, like, what's your method? Do you think about the end goal, or do you kind of just wing it, or do you think about what's the most efficient way I get to that end result? How do you like work backwards, like reverse engineer these steps, or how do you approach something
I
something new?
I always think of it what can be done the easiest and the most efficient way is the way I go about things all the time. But sometimes the most efficient way can be the hardest, which is a problem. So sometimes, yeah, I might be sloppy because I'm not feeling like it that day. But but then you finish the project and now you have two pictures. One, you completed the project, you took the right steps, you took the time, it took longer, it was harder, and now you have exactly what you wanted. Or you might have taken your time, but you cut a couple of corners, and now you're completed with the end goal that's like, oh, maybe I should redo it. So now you have to waste your time, redo it. It's less efficient, wastes energy.
Like when if you cut corners or mediocre,
Mm-hmm.
and that's in everything. Like that's in everywhere in life. We talk a lot about mental health. We talk a lot about the young people we meet at our business. We talk a lot about community and um, just what's going on with like mental health and young people and the 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 contrast to that of like resilience and mental fitness. And we touched on like rest and care and some of those factors and elements of a whole human experience. Um, but what do you, as a young person, because a lot of adults, a lot of people on my peer side, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of adults are so concerned about young people's mental health and all the consequences that we're in real time learning, navigating about um, isolation, disconnection, um, hyperexposure to social media, which I'm big on not blaming social media only. I hear a lot about that. Nutrition, family dynamic, or lack of. And that's just some of it. That's just some of what the circle, the roundabout conversation around mental health is like. We go to a lot of presentations. You've seen me do presentations. We talk a lot about complex PTSD in our family. It's not a stigma. We speak about everything. Um, and not to put, this isn't to put burden on you. You can always like skip questions, but not to put burden on you. But you are the expert of you, and you're the expert of like experiencing in real time in your headspace what youthhood is like and what it's like against the context and the backdrop of a bigger society and culture, whether it's toxic or healthy, whatever that backdrop is, or blend of both. How is it like to be a young person today with the backdrop, with all the context and all the backdrop of society and the world? And what is it that some of us adults are maybe missing about serving our youth in a bigger capacity, or what is it that maybe we're not necessarily understanding about mental health?
Um, well,
In any way that you want to talk about. There's no right or wrongs here.
right. I want to say a big mental health issue is where you put yourself, and what I mean by that is a couple of things. Like number one, how do you better yourself in a way? So like, what is your care routine? So like, physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. How do you position yourselves in those situations? This is a major impact on mental health because there's some people who might want to start working out, for example, but maybe they lack the resources, and so now they procrastinate and they put it off. So now that affects their mental health because they can never achieve the physique they wanted to. Or hanging out with family a lot and always being with family is also a big mental health issue, I would say, because they're just it's always like you're how do I put this? It's like you're always with the same people talking about different things, but you're always in the same zone. Like you need to be out of that zone sometimes to recoup and regenerate kind of in a way. Is what I've learned is really helped my mental health. Is like being away from family is a good thing. And like going out with friends and being out till however long, that's a good thing because now you're with different people who you haven't been with. I would just say parent wise, like what parents don't understand is sometimes it's hard for a child, and sometimes the child isn't getting the help they need, or maybe they're getting too much of the help. So there's always a balance that the parents need to find in order to be there for a child. Because sometimes the child doesn't need that person or their parent to be there at that certain moment because they're just dealing with whatever they're dealing with, and sometimes that leads to children resorting to different things. So that could be like social media addiction, um, getting introduced into maybe drugs, and then that becoming an addiction, and then that addiction spirals to being like a lifeline and something you need for those moments that when someone isn't there, when it's just you and yourself alone. Sometimes that's the only thing that can help you. Is what I've learned, and it leads to the downfall of some people, which is sad.
I agree. Like, I love being around family, but family will mirror back to you, or not everybody has a healthy family, right? So you're in an unhealthy environment, like stuck. But also with perfect, like let's say a perfect positive family, still you're in a way in a bubble and you're still getting projected back the same identities, the same
Yeah.
beliefs, the
You
same
need fresh air.
need fresh air. Yeah, you need to like. I get that. I'm hearing you say balance in all different ways, and then personal accountability is a little bit of what I picked up like at the end. And I'm not trying to put words in your mouth. It sounds I am
No,
putting kind of words in your mouth,
you're
but I'm
saying
trying
everything
to
correctly.
hear it like the way you said about um, putting things off, maybe because you perceive that you don't have the right tools or equipment for something, whether it's fitness or a goal or um, connecting with other people, like transportation, and then in a way that kind of self-sabotages like an ambition. But what I love about having a conversation with you, and even when we're talking about scenarios, like real life scenarios and probabilities, or something we read in the paper that another person went through, we can consider all possible um,
Outcomes.
outcomes and what could have led a person into that direction, and see the human, and see our own. Um, you're so incredible at this, like just seeing the person, and you always remind me too, like, well, think about it, maybe how it was for them, and the human. That we don't always, because we always project like, well, that person, I would have done this or this would. No, every human being is in their body and their spirit's experiencing what it's experiencing in their body
That moment.
at that moment too, and moment to moment. Um, and so what I really appreciate about you is your ability in this like to move with grace and see the whole human and the full human in others. I want to thank you as like your fan, but as your mom and as human to human. Like thank you for teaching me, and thank you for having conversation about a lot of these topics that I think are important for parents to have with their children, with their youth, and even for adults to have with one another. So thank you for that. And hopefully, this amazing conversation that we had today, hopefully the new equipment we have recorded